Before I got started, Jessica flipped me off. So, hello, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode. I'm trying to do an intro here.
I'm just making it fun and lighthearted.
Yes, welcome to another episode of Weekly Bazaar. I'm Montana,
I'm Jessica.
and if you're new here, we're sorry.
We're so sorry.
We've been waiting for you.
Where have you been all my life?
I was just about to say that.
Go figure. And also, if you're new here, we like to ramble a little bit. So settle in, get your blankie, get your little cup of tea or whatever it is that you're going to be drinking, and let's hang out.
Yeah, grab your blankie because our audiences are like 5 years old.
Get your blankie, get your banky.
Okay, I don't know what you're
Whatever.
into, but
I'm in a mood today.
that's fine. I got my blankie. I stole it from Bentley before we started, but it's
I think
fine.
that's what put the idea in my head, is that you went and got your blankie.
I literally stole it from my dog.
Rude.
I know. It's fine. My desk is right above an air vent and it's air conditioning and it's just blowing cold air on me and it's cold. So I need a blanket more than he does right now. And he's passed out on the couch. He'll be fine.
Yeah. You'll return it when you're done. Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, so I had another shitty week and I decided that I'm not complaining anymore. I'm done.
Because
I'm
we're
done
blessed.
complaining. Yes. Things keep happening. Things are going to happen. It could be so much worse. So I'm in a mood today. I'm just bringing the joy. Just bringing the joy along with my darkness.
Because we're blessed.
Yeah.
Blessings happen to us every day.
Oh, anybody listening right now is probably rolling their eyes so hard. Like these two. Oh my gosh. Next week they'll be back bitching about something else.
I mean, it's hard not to. I've had a few things have happened this week where I'm like, are you flipping kidding me? Like, you just want to be like, it's always something, right? And that's just the reality of life. It's always something.
It's true.
Just when you take a breather, it's like, oh shit, and you get slammed with something else.
Yeah. Builds character.
Listen, I'm grateful for you.
Oh.
I'm grateful for our podcast. And sometimes we just bitch, okay? That's all I'm saying.
I might get a little tear in my eye from that.
And your coffee?
And a little tear in my beer.
I was trying to cover for you, but you let that one out of the bag yourself.
So Eileen did really well on our social medias. So that was really nice because Montana worked so hard on it. We're going to be switching gears today a little bit. Well, a lot of it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I sure did.
I didn't realize she would be 3 parts when I decided to go into her. But like I said, it was long, but I still cut a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
And she did get some speculation again on our reel. Well, I should say controversy on our reel, because it's hard when people are just like one commenter was they said something along the lines that every man she was ever with just try to rape her and hurt her or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, I just want to be like, no, like, just listen.
Yeah, listen.
Just listen to the podcast and it might change your mind.
Yeah.
I went in completely different, feeling sorry for her. That was my take, that everyone and everything has failed her in life.
Mm-hmm.
Which, don't get me wrong, a lot of people did fail her and society failed her. But I have a completely different outlook on Eileen, and she's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, I know that she was dealt a really shitty hand in life, but at the end of the day, it's about choices, you know? You can make them right or wrong. So, a lot of people have had, like we've said before, shitty lives and they choose to rise above. So,
Yeah, and like for example, you said you had a shitty week, right? But it's not like
mhm.
because you have a shitty week, you're gonna make someone else's week shitty, and you're gonna mean
Yeah,
to be mean to other people because you've had a shitty week.
exactly.
So yes, you make choices in life, and she just chose the wrong choice.
Yeah, she sure did. Many times over. Like even once, maybe I would even sympathize a little more. Like, okay, she screwed up, but the fact that she kept making the same choice again and again, there's got to be a line drawn somewhere.
And maybe even like if her first John still didn't do anything, she killed him anyway. Like I could even sympathize on the fact that maybe she just snapped.
Yeah.
Everything got to the point where she just had a mental breakdown and snapped.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to any of those, there are 3 episodes. Check them out. It's good stuff. Might change your mind.
And let us know.
Yeah, let us know. So today we're going to talk about a ghost ship called the Mary Celeste, or at least allegedly it was a ghost ship.
It's always a ghost ship.
I told Tony, he's like the one from the movie? Like,
That wasn't the
if
Mary Celeste, so was it?
no,
I didn't think it was.
I don't know that it. I don't know that it was a specific ship. What I'm thinking of, like where they all die immediately because that cord cuts loose or whatever, and it like slices through their bodies.
Yeah, except for the little girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
If
been a long time
only.
since I've seen it.
Spoiler alert. It's just not that dark.
I mean, it's a ghost ship. It's just you have the people on ships. I don't know what you call them, like looting the ship basically, and then basically it's a haunted ship, and so they're attacked by ghosts. That's the plot of the movie. There you go.
The end.
It's probably early 2000s, I think.
So, are you ready to learn about the Mary Celeste?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, on December 13th, 1872, the
It's
Mary
my grandma's
Celeste.
birthday. Sorry. It's my
Everything I pick is somebody's birthday in your family. So funny. I think last time it was your mom's. Okay, on December 13th, 1872, the Mary Celeste, a brigantine with torn sails and an empty deck, was towed into Gibraltar by the crew of the De Gracia, which is another ship we'll talk about later. 10 days earlier, the De Gracia had discovered the ship adrift about 400 miles east of the Azores, with no one aboard, but with no signs of struggle, foul play, or disaster. The Mary Celeste had set sail from New York on November 7th, 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7 experienced sailors, allegedly. The ship was carrying a cargo of industrial alcohol, and everything had seemed normal. When found, the ship was still seaworthy. Its cargo was mostly intact. The crew's belongings were still in their quarters. The galley was stocked with 6 months of food and water. But the lifeboat was missing, and so were all 10 people on board. So, what happened?
You
There have
tell
been
me.
many. Well, nobody really truly knows still to this day, but
It's all
there
allegedly, right?
it's all allegedly and kind of common sense, but we'll get
I
there.
mean, but the Mary Celeste did exist.
Yes,
Like, that's not allegedly.
exactly. Yeah, I'll
Gotcha.
talk a lot about from when it was built to like it was just a kind of a cursed vessel. I'm going to be honest. Like it just had a lot of bad luck even before this happened and after. So there have been many theories over the decades, though none of them have ever been definitively. Okay, let me go back.
Welcome.
There have been many theories over the decades, though none of them has ever been definitively proven. The fate of her captain, his family, and the crew remains an enduring maritime enigma, a ghost story etched into the history of the seas. It's not unusual for ships to vanish at sea. Many have. From high profile liners to the countless small vessels whose disappearances barely made the papers, the ocean has always kept its secrets well. But what is unusual is for a ship to be found adrift, seaworthy, and nearly untouched, with no sign of violence, no apparent distress, and yet no trace of her crew. That's what makes the story of the Mary Celeste so enduring. It's been told for generations, sometimes as a ghost story, sometimes as a nautical puzzle, but often with more speculation than fact. To truly understand what happened, we must first go back to the beginning. Our journey begins in the Bay of Fundy, home to the most extreme tides in the world and one of North America's most prolific shipbuilding regions. Since the early 1800s, more than 1,000 ships were launched from these shores, mostly modest schooners that served local trade routes and lived quiet, uneventful lives. But of those 1,000 vessels, nearly 100 would vanish without a trace. You could not get me into this business. No, thank you.
You
Never.
wonder how many of them get like sucked into the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, some of the research I was doing, actually, one dude, I can't remember who it was. I was watching his video, and he was talking about one of the theories here was maybe it got adrift into the Bermuda Triangle, but it was nowhere near it. And then he also
Mm.
was like the something about how the Bermuda Triangle is just a bunch of bullshit, really, because no more vessels have disappeared there than anywhere else. It's just kind of took
Well,
off that way. I don't
yeah,
know.
but technically, isn't there kind of, I don't know, more than one Bermuda Triangle in
I'm
a
not
sense?
sure. Probably, yeah. Like just areas where things tend to happen like that are unexplained.
Welcome to Weekly Bazaar.
Yeah. Okay, so the story of the Mary Celeste begins in 1860 with a shipbuilder named Joshua Dewis, born in the nearby town of Economy, Nova Scotia. Dewis specialized in small cargo schooners, less than 100 tons, built for carrying goods between regional ports. But by 1860, the shipbuilding boom had raised ambitions across the bay, and Dewis sought to expand. He moved from Economy to Advocate Harbor, a more established center of ship construction on Cape Dior. However, and if I mispronounce things, I'm sorry. It's a little easier in this episode than a lot of the other ones, but there are a few words that I'm like, I might not be getting that right. So
She's
apologies.
probably already said like five names wrong.
Probably.
At
Probably
least you
all of
can't
them.
mess up Joshua.
Yeah. So, however, it was the neighboring town of Spencer Island that offered him the perfect conditions. Despite its name, Spencer Island is not an island at all, but a small coastal community on the mainland, named after a small island offshore. It had two crucial advantages for Dewis. First, its protected location, shielded from the storms that battered the more exposed Advocate Harbor, and second, its abundant timber supply. He's pissed because you took his blanket.
He is mad I took his blanket. He's letting me know.
As the first frame of Dewis' new vessel began to rise from the slipway that fall, the sound of axes from the nearby logging camps could be heard. As the first frame of Duis' new vessel began to rise from the slipway that fall, the sound of axes from the nearby logging camps could be heard, timber being felled just minutes from where it would be shaped into a hull. The community was small, closely knit, and largely related through family ties. In fact, the majority of the surrounding forest was owned by two local brothers, Jacob and Isaac Spicer, whose wives happened to be sisters of Dewis's wife. It was through these family connections that Dewis secured both his lumber and his first investors. The Spicers each took a 1/8 share in the vessel in exchange for supplying the timber. It's a family affair.
So these were his brother-in-laws?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The keel. So it seems like this whole community was kind of invested in this ship.
Maybe
The
it was like the first big ship, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know history.
it, I think it was of this kind of in this type of ship,
Vicinity?
this
Oh.
type of ship, I guess. But then it says it actually wasn't really that special. Maybe after, maybe it was like the groundbreaking ship, is
Was
what
it
it
a
kind of
big
seemed.
ship though?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, it was decent size, but it wasn't like a huge ship. And
Because I'm
actually,
picturing Ghost Ship, because the Ghost Ship was humongous.
well, I guess there's a painting that's circulated over the years that is of the Mary Celeste, and it's got its like white sails, and it's just kind of all a blue background. You've probably seen it. It just looks like a big sailboat, kind of, with
Okay, well,
more
there's only like you said
sails.
7 people on it, so
10.
because you only said there's 10 people on it, so
Yeah,
it's not very okay. So that's not really a lot of people.
yeah. It's big enough to carry cargo, but maybe just not a whole bunch. I don't know. It's not tiny, it's not huge. Somewhere in between.
Maybe like yacht size.
Maybe. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, whatever a brigantine is. So if you know what a brigantine is,
I have no idea.
that is what this is. If you can get a mental picture, people out there.
Just Google it because we're too lazy.
The keel was laid in the fall of 1860 with plans to launch her on the high spring tides that following year. While surrounding towns of Advocate and Spencer's Island had grown into quiet, settled communities, Dewis's new shipyard was still rough and improvised. There was no mill. Every beam and plank had to be shaped by hand, using axes and saws. Schematics were minimal. There were no crew lodgings, so the shipwrights and laborers slept where they could, often on the floors of local homes. Sounds like a good time.
That sounds horrible. Maybe that's why
Sounds
it's
horrible.
also seems cursed because everything made by hand. People got to cut themselves, and the blood soaked into the wood.
Good point.
I don't know.
One such home belonged to Captain W. H. Bigelow, the Gigolo. I'm just kidding.
I was just gonna say
Oh, God.
Bigelow the Gigolo. I was just about to say that.
He was not a gigolo, but he was a seaman.
Allegedly. Hey, got him.
Oh,
Ayo.
a local seaman who held. You can't take. We're so immature. Oh my gosh. Get your mind out of the gutter. Get out of
You
here.
started it.
Who had held 1/16th share in the vessel. See, everybody's got a share in this thing.
Hey, but speaking of Deuce Bigelow, like male gigolo, have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not going to say who, but one of the main guys in the movie came to where I used to work to get a massage.
Really?
Yeah, I really can't say who, but I'll tell
Yeah.
you off
That's
air,
cool.
but yeah,
Very cool. Hey,
because he
you never
was
you
in
never know where
town.
our stories are going to lead. That's cool.
Nope.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my hair's so long it's stuck in my armpit. Okay, we're good.
Get nasty, bitch.
Okay, W.H. Bigelow, the male gigolo, had an oral tradition in the region. Just kidding.
Had an oral tradition?
Okay, that's enough.
You
No.
have a son.
He's grown. Oral
It's
tradition in the
even
region
worse.
holds that many of the workers lived in Bigelow's house. I don't know, sounds kind of sus. While the ship was under construction. Once the
Very
hull was
sus.
fully constructed, it was coated in salt to draw out any remaining moisture from the wood. I find that very interesting. That's why I left that in there, because I mean, I didn't really need to, but it just seems, I guess it makes sense.
I mean, from a science standpoint, it probably makes sense. From a supernatural standpoint, I'm like, why you really got salt in there?
It didn't work. The salt did not
No.
work.
Salt is used for many stuff for protection.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was salted to remove the moisture from the wood. I guess why I find that so interesting is because you're going to be putting it in water. But that's probably because I'm stupid. Okay.
Listen, we're
Anyway.
podcasters, not science people.
Right.
This is a biology question for my mom. Is it?
Yeah,
Or is
maybe.
this is more of a chemistry?
Shit, I don't know.
Where's Walter White? God damn it.
Okay. And yeah, the sails were ordered from larger maritime hubs known for outfitting vessels. This new ship, the very first to come out of the Spencer's Island shipyard. Yeah, so it was the
The
first.
first.
I
Okay,
didn't
that's
think
why
it,
it
I
was
was thinking it
quote
was just the
special.
first of its kind, but the first, yeah. That's why this place still had all its trees, and then they went and cut them down to
Which I
build the ship.
guess is kind of, in a way, kind of shitty to be the first because I feel like the first is always the trial and error. Because you kind
Mm-hmm.
of you learn from what you did wrong from the first, right? So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and there was a lot of error. But honestly, it seems like it was more on the captains than it was on the construction of the ship itself. So I don't
Well,
know.
that's pretty bad too. I'm like, you're in charge of all these people's lives. It's like a pilot, right? You're in charge of all these people's lives, and the one little mistake you make can cost you
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
hundreds of people's lives.
Well, not really, because these are more cargo ships. So there's only going to be small crews, but still, they're people's lives.
Well, I meant like thinking as like pilots as well.
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah.
including those in there too. But
I'm
still,
sorry.
like if you're still a seaman of like seven people on your ship and you're responsible for those seven lives, still, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're the captain of the ship.
Yeah, get it together, seaman.
Bigelow. Was he distracted doing gigolo things?
Sounds like he was busy handling things at the brothel. I don't know.
Seriously?
Oh, it just said that
Oh.
all the seamen slept at his house. What's
It's
going
probably
on
not
there,
the
guys?
it's not the greatest sentence. Bigelow.
Okay. If you're still here, thanks, guys. Bear with us.
We're perverts, we're sorry. Not really sorry.
So, this new ship, the very first to come out of the Spencer's Island shipyard, would one day become known as the infamous Mary Celeste. But at the time of her launch, she bore a different name, the Amazon.
Ooh.
The name Amazon was personally chosen by Joshua Dewis, the ship's builder. As with most vessels of this era, the ship was referred to using feminine pronouns, and some have speculated that Dewis drew inspiration from the fierce woman warriors of Greek mythology. Given that this was the largest and most robust ship he had built to date, it's possible the name was meant to evoke strength and resilience. But Dewis never explained the choice, and the true reasons remain unknown. The Amazon was a brigantine rigged with two masts, a square stern, and two deck houses. She measured 99 feet in length. with a beam of 25 and a half feet and weighed about 198 and a half tons.
It's a huge
So,
bitch.
so yeah, it's like not a small one, but it's not like a gigantic ship or anything. But it was one of the
No.
larger vessels launched from the Bay of Fundy at the time, though not considered extraordinary in her construction. Her stern bore the name Amazon, and her home port was Parsboro, Nova Scotia. Her launch marked not just the beginning of a thriving shipbuilding industry in Spencer's Island, but also the start of an unusually ill fated career for the vessel herself. It's so true. Many later retellings of the Mary Celeste story claim that the Amazon's launch was plagued by bad luck, that she either stuck on the slipway or caused an injury. These stories, though dramatic, are allegedly untrue, because eyewitnesses, including the ship's owners and builders, all insisted the launch went off without a hitch. Kind of. She entered the water cleanly and without incident. So that part went smoothly, but this next part, unfortunately, does not.
So did the Titanic.
True.
Just saying.
Very true. Her first captain was Robert McClellan, a newlywed with hopes of a long maritime career. His first assignment was to sail the Amazon to Five Islands, a nearby port which, like Spencer's Island, was not actually an island at all. What's up with that, guys? There
Mm-hmm.
she would take on cargo of lumber destined for the River Thames in London. Captain McClellan had been ill for some time, but believed that the sea air might help restore his health.
Not me. It makes me boat sick. Seasick.
Ooh, yeah, boat sick.
Boat sick. Seasick.
Ooh, not a good time.
No.
So yeah, he thought this might help his poor health. Once the ship was loaded, she departed into the Bay of Fundy, but before she had even cleared the bay, McClellan's condition worsened dramatically.
You
Stricken.
think, McCullen?
Yeah, yeah. And when was this? Let me go back and
You said like
see.
1860 something, right?
I just meant the time
When
of
she
year. I
was
know it
built.
was early
Oh.
spring, so it was probably still rather cold. And being out on the
In
ocean with
Nova
all that
Scotia,
air. Yeah.
probably it would be chilly.
Yeah, so his condition worsened dramatically. Stricken with severe pneumonia, the captain was taken ashore as the Amazon returned to Spencer Island. He was carried to the home of Jacob Spicer, one of the ship's owners. There, in a house that still stands overlooking the shipyard, Captain McClellan died. The Amazon's first voyage cut short before it had even truly begun, making the Amazon's very first delivery the body of her first captain, returned to his grieving wife. Tragic.
That's sad.
And not a good start for the ship.
Mm-mm.
Not a good start. It was a scene the crew would never forget. Captain McClellan was laid to rest in Economy Cemetery, where his grave can still be visited today. Following this tragedy, command of the Amazon was taken over by a man named Jack Parker, who carried on with the original plan to sail the vessel to London with the lumber. Before heading across the Atlantic, the ship docked in Eastport, Maine, at the mouth of the Bay of Fundy. There, it snagged on fishing wires and had to remain anchored for repairs. Once cleared,
Jeez.
the ship resumed its journey, and the crossing was mostly uneventful until it reached the River Thames.
I love Maine.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. After unloading her cargo of lumber in London, the Amazon took on a new shipment bound for Portugal. She sailed down the Thames and out of the Strait of Dover, but disaster struck once again. She collided with a British brig, which began taking on water rapidly. The brig's crew abandoned their sinking vessel, and after confirming the Amazon was still seaworthy, climbed aboard for safety. Fortunately, no lives were lost. The Amazon
Wait,
brought the...
wait. So she crashed into another ship?
I'm like,
How?
what are these captains doing?
Do you just hire someone off the street?
Getting caught in fishing nets? crashing into other ships. Like, what? What is going on? Get it together. Luckily, nobody died. Nobody drowned.
Because they abandoned ship.
Sheesh. So, yeah, the Amazon brought the stranded sailors to Dover, then underwent further repairs. This thing just can't seem to catch a break. Kind of like us. Just always,
Because we're blessed. We're
yeah,
blessed.
we're blessed. From there, the vessel completed her delivery in Lisbon and then sailed on to Marseille, sorry, in November 1861. The earliest known image of the ship comes from this time, the painting I was talking about earlier. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently that was created by a local maritime artist. Here we go, Honore de Bellegrin, while the Amazon was in port. In the years that followed, the Amazon quietly worked the transatlantic and Mediterranean trade routes, sailing frequently between the West Indies, Europe, and Nova Scotia under her next captain, William Thompson. For a time, she seemed to shake off her unlucky beginnings, but in the fall of 1867, her misfortunes returned. That autumn, the Amazon picked up a cargo of corn in Baltimore and sailed north to Halifax, Nova Scotia, docking somewhere along the city's bustling waterfront. During Thompson's tenure, the Spencer's Island owners had grown dissatisfied with his leadership, and I couldn't really see why. I don't know what he was. I mean, he seems to be the only one that didn't crash the damn thing. So what's the problem? I don't know. But
Maybe
yeah,
he wasn't
they
a likable guy. I don't know.
it seems he probably wasn't because we'll get to that in a sec. So, yeah, they had grown dissatisfied with his leadership, and while the ship was in Halifax, they sent notice that he was being relieved of command and a replacement captain would soon arrive. But it was now November, and the waters around Cape Breton, especially this late in the year, were known for their dangerous winter gales. I can't imagine. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
the ship's insurance policy explicitly prohibited her from sailing around Cape Breton after November 1st due to the seasonal risk. Upon receiving word of this dismissal, Captain Thompson immediately discharged George Spicer, the son of one of the investors, and a crewman on board. I bet that's what happened. So I bet the son was like writing home to dad, being like, dude, this guy sucks. You need to replace him.
Maybe
So
he was like a rule follower, and maybe that's why he kept the ship so safe and the crew safe because he was just like maybe to a T and he was very strict. And
maybe,
maybe just thought he was over the top.
could be. Yeah.
But
So yeah, he immediately discharged George Spicer, which was the son, and he was also one of the crewmen, then kicking him off in Halifax. Then,
Jesus.
defying orders, Thompson took the Amazon north without cargo to Big Glace Bay near Cape Breton, where he intended to load coal. So he's basically like, "Screw you guys! I'm going on to do my shit. I'm gonna get my cargo and keep on keeping on." Which I don't know how that would work. I mean, it probably would be really difficult to catch a ship and detain the people on board. So he probably thought he could get away with it. So, yeah, he intended to load the coal. As feared, a severe winter storm rolled in, forcing the Amazon aground on a beach. Thompson later reported to the owners that the ship was badly damaged and would require costly repairs to be refloated. However, because she had wrecked after November 1st in a forbidden zone, the insurance company refused to pay out. Some things never
Well, I
change.
mean, to be fair, that's kind of why they say, hey, don't do it. And you do it anyway. And they're like, well, we told you not to do it. So we're not going to pay for your stupidity. That's
Yeah,
my 2 cents on that.
yeah. It's in the fine print, guys. It's not even fine print. Suspiciously,
Suspiciously.
The Amazon was claimed almost immediately by a man named Alexander McBean, who quickly re registered the vessel to Sydney, Nova Scotia. This raised eyebrows. Nova Scotia law at the time required a ship to be seaworthy before it could be registered. Yet McBean managed to secure the paperwork within a single week. Then, not long after, the vessel was sold again and re registered. So I guess this suggests that Captain Thompson may have grossly exaggerated the ship's damage, perhaps as a part of an underhanded arrangement with McBean. In effect, he appears to have scammed the original owners out of their ship, robbing the Spencer's Island community of their most valuable asset. And I guess locals would later say that the Amazon was, quote, the ship that made us eat with tin spoons, end quote. Tin spoons, not TEN spoons. Just clarifying that. So yeah, seems like the community was very invested in the ship and like literally. And they lost a lot of money because of this little
Well, they
scheme.
probably also rely on the ship to export things and import things,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
that sucks.
Thompson, he was getting revenge, man.
Clearly.
So McBean then sold the ship to John Beatty, who didn't keep her long. Within a year, the Amazon wrecked again, this time off the coast of Maine. These waters, I mean, it makes sense. They have to be so rough up there. She was once more abandoned, then salvaged and towed to New York City, where she was put up for public auction. There, in 1868, she was purchased for $1,750 by Richard W. Haynes.
Oh
Because
shit,
she,
I could afford her.
I know.
What the heck?
I wonder how much that was back in the day, in the 1800s.
I'm not doing math. No.
Nah, we can just imagine. Because she had
Google it.
originally, because she had originally been a foreign built ship, now sailing under the American flag, Haynes was required to pay import duties to register her. Instead, he skipped the fees, simply renaming the vessel and hoping no one would notice that she was still the same old ship from Nova Scotia. Good luck.
Sus.
When later confronted about dodging the import taxes, Haynes claimed that he had rebuilt the ship so extensively that it was essentially brand new. He said he had given her a new keel, a rebuilt stern, and replaced most of the hull, insisting that the repairs cost more than twice what it would have taken to build a new vessel. That seems kind of stupid. Just saying. Like, why would you do that? But
He's a man.
he was
I don't know.
lying. He's lying.
They
Whether
all
this
lying.
Yeah, they're really trying to get away with this crap. Freaking pirates. Whether this was true or not remains debated by historians, but many suspect it was a fabrication.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly it was.
I don't need to be a historian to say that.
Yeah. It was at this point that Haynes renamed the ship the Mary Celeste. The reasoning behind his name choice for the ship remains unknown, though it's been interpreted to mean Heavenly Mary or Mary of Heaven. Haynes himself took command, but his fortunes with the vessel were poor. Within 10 months, drowning in debt, he lost the ship to a sheriff's sale. And I looked up what the sheriff's sale is because I didn't know really what that meant. And it's basically like a
Mm-hmm.
foreclosure on a house, but it's a ship.
Gotcha.
So it's like an auction. So this is when James Winchester entered the picture, a former sea captain turned businessman whose journey mirrored that of the Mary Celeste. He was born in Nova Scotia, moved to Eastport, Maine, became an American citizen, and eventually settled in New York City, which now became the Mary Celeste's new home port. Shortly after acquiring the ship, Winchester was visited by a deputy surveyor who claimed the previous owner had failed to pay import fees.
It's
As
like
a
taxes. It's like people that try to scam taxes and get out of paying taxes.
Yeah, it's a
AKA
lot.
Wesley Snipes. Just kidding.
It's a lot of plotting and scheming going on here. A lot of
It just seems
scams.
like more work.
And it seems very difficult to get away with. It's almost a
Yeah.
waste of time. I don't know. So, as a result, the ship's registration was technically fraudulent. The surveyor offered a solution. If Winchester paid the fees on the spot, the case would quietly disappear. It was blatant blackmail, and Winchester knew it. He refused to be extorted, took the matter to court, and ultimately prevailed. Rare.
Hmm. Yeah.
However, the
Good lawyer.
troubles he probably had a lot of money to get a good lawyer.
True.
He's a businessman. However, the troubles didn't end there. It became evident that Haynes claimed of spending $8,000 to $9,000 on rebuilding the ship was grossly exaggerated, if not outright false. Winchester discovered that the Mary Celeste was severely rotted and nearly unseaworthy. A total overhaul was required, costing him $11,500. That's a lot of money back then.
God. Yeah, I was gonna say, imagine what that's
Yeah,
probably be like what today? Oh, we're not even gonna guess because yeah.
a
That's a lot of
lot.
money.
A lot. The ship was stripped down to the waterline and essentially rebuilt. A second deck a second deck was added, her rigging was modified, and her tonnage increased from 198 to 282. That's crazy. That's a
Yeah.
big bitch.
It's a
It's a
huge bitch.
huge bitch. So I fin Okay, get it together. You wet my
I
whistle.
love how you're trying to like paint this picture of a scary ghost story and then we just keep making sexual jokes.
I'm going to be honest with you. There's nothing scary about this story.
They don't know
If only.
that.
I mean, use your imagination, I suppose. So the financial strain from the rebuild forced Winchester to sell a one-third stake in the vessel to Massachusetts-born Captain Benjamin Briggs, who would soon become the ship's new commander. His first voyage aboard the Mary Celeste would take him from New York City through the Strait of Gibraltar and onward to Genoa, Italy. Benjamin Spooner Briggs.
That's
He
Spooner.
he likes to spoon.
Let me tell you, that's Spooner.
Who would go down in history as the Mary Celeste's final captain. Kind of. He was a deeply respected mariner. He was the sixth captain to helm the ship in its 11-year existence. It's been a rough go, man.
It's only been around for 11 years.
Yeah, six captains already.
Yeah.
I don't know how unusual that is, though. I don't really know how long a captain sticks with a ship.
Especially for back then. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Briggs had deep American roots. His ancestors came over on the Mayflower, and others fought in the Revolutionary War near where the first shots rang out. He was a devoted family man and planned to bring his wife and young daughter along on this voyage. His wife, Sarah Briggs, was his childhood sweetheart. Together they had two children, 8-year-old Arthur and 2-year-old Sophia. Since Arthur was in school, he stayed behind with his grandparents. In total, 10 people would sail on the Mary Celeste: Captain Briggs, his wife Sarah, and their daughter Sophia, and 7 crew members. The first mate was Albert Richardson of Maine. The second mate, Andrew Gilling, and the cook, Edmund Head, were both from New York. The remaining 4 crewmen were Prussian sailors, 2 brothers named Volkert and Boz Lorenzen, Arian Martins, and Gottlieb Gottschalk. Sorry,
Yeah, that guy.
that guy. Good old Gotti.
I knew he'd be on that ship.
Briggs considered them competent seamen, though perhaps not the brightest. I wonder why. Wonder if that's what
Why do you
caused
have
this
him
to
as your
happen.
crew?
Yeah, probably because they were cheap.
True, true. Cheap labor.
Also on board was the family cat. Well, makes me sad.
No, that is the saddest part of this story.
Just wait till you
Not
hear its name. Guess what its name was?
what?
So cute. Pooa Poo.
Poo Poo?
Pooa Poo. But the baby named it. The little Sophia named it Pooa Poo.
Not Pua Poo. I'm gonna
No,
guess that Pua Poo doesn't make it.
I don't think so. Why would you bring Pua Poo? Probably for the baby.
I hate stories with animals in it.
The Mary Celeste remained docked at Pier 50 on the East River through October and into November of 1872 as preparations for the voyage continued. During those last days in port, the Briggs family lived aboard the ship. With Sarah and Sophia there, the vessel felt more like a floating home. They played music on their small melodeon, wrote letters to loved ones, and even hosted Sarah's brother and sister in law for a visit. Despite the homey atmosphere, Captain Briggs missed his son and seriously considered bringing Arthur along, even saying that he might let the boy skip school to join the journey. As for the cargo, 1,701. I thought that was so weird. Like, why the extra barrel? For them?
Maybe.
1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol were loaded into the ship's hold. Each barrel was stored on its side, with a wooden wedge placed between to prevent rolling. Alcohol was a volatile cargo, capable of releasing flammable fumes if not properly ventilated, a
Mm-hmm.
dangerous substance to carry across the ocean. And this probably had something to do, if I had to guess, with their disappearance.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think I've heard there was a theory about an explosion or something, but I also thought it was debunked, where this is why it can happen, or maybe it was the opposite. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've heard this story.
Yeah. So Tuesday, November 5th, marked the day the Mary Celeste was finally ready to depart, but heavy fog and unfavorable winds forced Captain Briggs to drop anchor off Staten Island, where the ship remained for 2 nights. During this brief pause, Sarah Briggs wrote what would be her last letter home to her mother in law. That was sweet. She must have liked her mother in law. 2 days later, with weather conditions improving, the Mary Celeste raised anchor and began her journey into the open Atlantic. Not far from where she had moored, just across the river in Hoboken, New Jersey, another ship prepared for a similar voyage. This was the one I said in the beginning, the De Gracia, a vessel not unlike the Mary Celeste in many ways, comparable in size, construction, and even in name. De Gracia is Latin for the grace of God, and like the Mary Celeste, she was bound for Genoa, Italy. The De Gracia was also built along the Bay of Fundy, though on its southern side, in Bear River, Nova Scotia. Unlike the Mary Celeste, she still flew the Nova Scotian flag and was crewed entirely by Nova Scotians under the command of Captain David Morehouse. The De Gracia left Hoboken on November 15th, 1872, carrying a cargo of petroleum. That probably wasn't safe cargo either. I don't know.
No. Anything that's easily flammable, I don't think that's a
That
fun cargo
just
to carry.
that just sounds like a recipe for disaster. As much as you're going to be rocking around on the sea, no thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, 8 days and 1,200 miles behind the Mary Celeste. From the very start, the De Gracia encountered rough seas and stormy weather, remaining battened down with her hatches sealed tight throughout the crossing. The Mary Celeste had likely experienced these same storms, but had made solid progress. On November 25th, she was within sight of the Azores, roughly 20 days into her journey. Rain poured down in sheets, the wind howled, and the ships creaked and groaned under the strain of towering swells. Oh, God, that's like my worst nightmare. Inside the vessel, the 10 people aboard were likely being tossed about along with the volatile cargo of alcohol in the hold.
Yeah. Yeah.
The De Gracia reached the Azores around the beginning of December, having taken a more northerly route, while the Mary Celeste had sailed to the south of the island chain. As fate would have it, their paths reconverged near the Azores. On the afternoon of December 5th, Captain Morehouse spotted a ship 5 miles off his port bow. Its sails slacked and its movement erratic. Looking through his spyglass, he noticed something alarming. No one was on deck, and more notably, no one was at the helm. The sails were shredded, and the ship looked as if left unattended for some time. Recognizing that something was deeply wrong, Morehouse ordered his men to hail the drifting vessel, but received no reply. Eventually, he dispatched First Mate Oliver DeVoe, Second Mate John Wright, and Seaman John Johnson in one
Oh
of the
God.
ship's boats
Seaman
to
John
investigate.
Johnson. Sorry.
Why?
I can't.
Why?
Seaman John
John
Johnson reporting to duty, sir. I
Seaman
can't.
Johnson.
John Johnson.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
R.I.P.
who knew this was going to
R.I.P.
turn pervy? Who knew?
Us?
They approached cautiously. Johnson stayed behind in the boat while the other two climbed aboard the strange vessel. It was, of course, the Mary Celeste, but no one was there.
Ooh, this is a horror movie.
Dun, dun, dun. Now, here's where myth often replaces truth. And this is where my heart got broken when I was doing my research, because I like myth better than truth.
Well, yeah.
Myth is way cooler. So popular retellings claim the ship was in perfect order, still sailing her course, with warm meals laid on the table and the logbook updated to the very hour she was found. But none of that is actually true. But it's still weird. It's still strange. So to
I mean,
understand
that's
what,
very, very creepy if that's
yeah,
real.
yeah, like if you got on board and there was like the table was set for dinner,
Because
but
that means they weren't thrown from the ship if nothing was thrown around the boat, right?
well, it still wasn't. It's still strange. It's still bizarre.
Weekly
Weekly
Bazaar.
So, to understand what really happened, we have to go back to what the De Gracia crew originally reported before the story became warped over time. So, according to First Mate DeVoe, the sails were in poor condition. Some were torn and hanging loose or partially lowered in haste. So, somebody was trying to take them down, but stopped like midway.
But what would be the point of taking them down?
I'm guessing it was probably a storm, and they were scared, or like just trying to do whatever they could to make things not get worse. I don't know.
I don't own a boat. I know nothing about ships.
Yeah, I don't either. But I imagine if it's like super windy and you're getting tossed around, the best thing you can do is take down the sails so you're not catching all of the wind. So
I
it's
mean, it
probably
makes sense.
that's what somebody was doing. I don't know.
Sure.
So the deck was deserted, and not even the ship's cat was present.
Don't say that.
A portion of the port side railing was missing, and it was unclear whether it had been removed deliberately or damaged during rough weather.
Woof.
Rough weather. Seaman John Johnson.
On the ship, sir.
DeVoe first checked the pumps, which were fully functional. You know, I don't think they were completely fully functional. I think they required a little bit of maintenance, because I saw conflicting things regarding the pumps. Like here it says fully functional, and then I was looking up something else and it said that they were kind of clogged, but maybe that doesn't mean that they're not fully functional. They were just clogged. But anyway, I was just
I
putting
mean,
that
they
out
could have
there.
been clogged, but still, you could use them just fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, he says they're fully functional, but found about 3.5 feet of water sloshing in the hold. Not an immediate danger, but certainly concerning. Inside the cabins, everything was soaking wet. Windows on the deck houses had been boarded and covered, suggesting the crew had tried to batten down during the storms, but oddly, the skylight had been left open, allowing rain to pour in and soak the interior. The beds belonging to Captain Briggs and his family had been slept in, but they were unmade, not typical, especially for Sarah Briggs, who was known to keep tidy quarters. This strongly suggests that the ship's occupants had left abruptly that morning, not long after waking. Most chilling of all, the imprint of little Sophia Briggs was still clearly visible on the bed where she had last lain.
Ooh, that one gave me chills.
Yeah. Nearly all of the personal belongings of the captain, his family, and crew were left behind. The ship was still well provisioned, with ample food and water for the remainder of the voyage and beyond. Whatever had caused the abandonment, they had taken little to nothing with them. The ship's official logbook had been filled up to November 24th, 10 days before the vessel was found. But the slate log, a temporary chalkboard used for jotting notes throughout the day, had a partial entry from November 25th, the day after the final written log entry. And that may be the last clue we have to the timeline, but one of these dudes erased it. So,
Why?
because they end up taking
That's
the ship.
sus.
Yeah.
Do you know what it
So
said? Did it say what it said?
it's been lost to history because the douchebag erased it and rewrote his own notes when they took over the ship.
Was it
So,
Seaman John Johnson?
probably. He probably
So
drew a big
probably
old picture of a penis on there.
John Johnson was here.
Back aboard the DeGracia, Captain Morehouse and his officers conferred about what to do with the derelict. Oh, and something else I need to mention is I think it's the boat's registration papers were also gone.
That's sus.
Yeah. So, yeah, they conferred about what to do. They were understandably more focused on the lucrative salvage reward than on the fate of the missing crew.
That's what it sounds
Because
like.
it's just the theme of the story. Like, how can I make money on these ships? So, what they had stumbled upon was no ghost ship drifting along her plotted course in eerie perfection. It was something far stranger, more chaotic, and deeply unsettling. A seaworthy vessel abandoned in haste, with no sign of struggle. No lifeboat, no answers. No blood anywhere, nothing was, allegedly, nothing was like knocked around. It's just
It
so
just sounds
weird.
like basically they all just jumped ship
They just left. Yeah.
and they took the carrot with them.
Yeah. They couldn't very well tow the Mary Celeste back to port, not over hundreds of miles of open ocean, but First Mate Oliver DeVoe was convinced the ship was still seaworthy. In his eyes, she was in remarkably good condition, and with a little effort could sail again on her own. Captain Morehouse agreed. He placed DeVoe in command of the derelict and assigned 2 crewmen, one of the DeGracia's boats, navigational instruments, and whatever extra provisions they could spare. Within just a few hours, DeVoe and his small skeleton crew had the Mary Celeste cleaned up, pumped out, and brought back into working order. And see,
That's
this is
so frustrating.
what's really strange too. It's like there wasn't anything wrong with it. Why did they leave? So weird.
Because even if it like was a storm, I don't think it would like knock over every single one on board.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good. There's no way. Especially if they were down under.
Is there like ugh, well, that wouldn't make sense either because I was like, was there a theory that their boat was like taken over by pirates, but then the pirates would probably steal the stuff too, though?
Exactly.
Like
Like
that doesn't make
everything's
sense.
debunked. And the fact that there's no sign of struggle and nothing was taken. Like it's just nothing makes any sense. So they found replacement sails already aboard. Again, like why would they leave if they're well equipped to handle the situation? So yeah, they found the replacement sails already aboard and rigged them into place. The DeGracia set course for Gibraltar, and by the same evening the Mary Celeste was sailing again, no longer a ghost ship adrift, but now under new command. From that point forward, DeVoe continued the ship's log himself, carefully recording the journey to Gibraltar. Unfortunately, in doing so, he had also wiped clean the slate log, so it wasn't John Johnson.
Well, I figured it was Defoe.
which Captain Briggs had last written on. As a result, whatever Briggs noted on November 25th has been lost to history.
Well, and the guy's dead, so you can't be like, what did he write before you erased it? So you can't even ask that guy because he
Mm-hmm.
dead.
Was it Mayday? Mayday? Along the way, another storm swept through, forcing DeVoe to delay entering the Strait of Gibraltar by a day. Even so, the Mary Celeste arrived only one day after the De Gracia, an impressive feat considering the Mary Celeste had been found adrift and was repaired and sailed by just 3 men over more than 600 miles through bad weather and with cargo still intact. And that's another thing. Nothing was wrong with the cargo, which could have been a threat or could have been a reason why they would leave, but it was
If I was like
perfectly intact.
Defoe, I'd be like, I'm not touching this ship. The ship is cursed.
No kidding. So, like so many people who would examine this mystery in the 150 years since, the authorities were baffled. Here was a perfectly sound ship, seaworthy and provisioned, with no sign of violence, accident, or natural disaster, completely abandoned mid-ocean for reasons no one could explain. A full investigation was promptly launched in Gibraltar. Authorities naturally suspected foul play and began a thorough search of the Mary Celeste from bow to stern. Their conclusion? The ship was in remarkably good condition. Nothing appeared damaged beyond the weathered sails and a minor water in the bilge. In the bulge.
The bulge.
Bilge.
But it doesn't help that it was kind of altered though because they took over the ship, so they didn't have the ship in the full form it was
Mm-hmm.
in, which would have really messed with evidence.
Well, there's another theory we'll get to that I mean, I don't know. None of it really makes sense, but we'll get there. One object stood out. I didn't really find much on this. A sword was found beneath Captain Briggs' bed. Investigators initially claimed that there were traces of blood on the blade, and this detail has been echoed in many retellings ever since. But chemical analysis, allegedly, at the time, confirmed that there was no blood, it was just rust. No blood
Okay.
was no blood was found anywhere, like not on the deck, nowhere. Nor
It's
was
like
there any evidence.
Croatoa. Is it
Croatoa?
Croatoa? Croatoan? Is it Croatoan? It's a
What?
different story where like a whole town disappeared. But anyway, go on.
Oh, just vanished.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nor was there any evidence of violence. Despite the lack of signs pointing to a struggle, theories have circulated for more than 150 years. One of the earliest and most persistent is that the crew was murdered either by order of the ship's owner, James Winchester, or by another party seeking the insurance payout from the valuable cargo of alcohol. But this idea falls apart under scrutiny. All personal belongings were left behind. There was no sign of looting, and again, no signs of violence.
That's what I mean. I'm
So,
like, if pirates took over the ship, they would have taken the ship or they would have taken your alcohol or whatever you had. Like, that doesn't make sense.
exactly. Another dramatic theory claims that the crew of the De Gracia intercepted the Mary Celeste, murdered everyone aboard, and claimed the ship for the salvage reward. Now, that maybe, maybe. But again, no signs of struggle. However, they could have cleaned shit up.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
what if there was blood? They literally took over the ship and had how much time to clean it up before they got to where they needed to get?
yeah, and I'm pretty sure their forensics back then weren't great. So
Yeah,
a
that's what they
mop,
got where they needed to get.
a mop and some water would have cleaned up the evidence
Yeah,
back
they're not
then.
going to take a black light and be like, "Oh my God, this is
Yeah,
blood." Like they didn't have that back then.
but upon further investigation of this theory, it sounds like a tidy conspiracy on paper, but it's simply not feasible. The De Gracia was a slower ship. It had departed New Jersey 8 days after the Mary Celeste, and even under ideal conditions, it couldn't have caught up. More importantly, there was no physical evidence of an attack. No blood, but we just talked about this. No damage, no chaos, just an abandoned vessel. So it doesn't really add up either, just because the ship wouldn't be able to catch up. That that would be the only reason I think that's not a possibility. Some have even gone so far as to claim Captain Briggs and his family faked the disappearance, colluding with the DeGracia crew in a staged abandonment to split the reward money. So that's kind of a good theory.
Yeah, but I don't know if I
But
believe that because they never came around to claim it.
exactly. And they didn't take their son. Like, why would they leave their son if that was their plan? But yeah, that too doesn't hold up. The Briggses left behind their 8-year-old son, Arthur, who remained at home with family. It's hard to believe they'd willingly disappear forever while leaving their child behind, unless they planned to return, which, like you said, they never did. More fantastical explanations have emerged as well. Some suggest the Mary Celeste was hit by a waterspout or even an underwater earthquake, temporarily flooding the ship and prompting the crew to abandon ship in panic. But these events, while possible, would either have left much more damage or would have passed quickly, allowing the crew to safely return, especially since the ship was still seaworthy when found. So,
But I
natural
think if you're,
disaster and out.
yeah, but I also think if your ship is going down as a captain, I don't think your instinct to be like, oh, we got to jump ship just
Mm-hmm.
because we're taking on water. Like that's not,
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
none of it makes any sense. Piracy has been floated as another possibility, but again, there's no evidence to support this, which we've talked about. The
Hmm.
cargo was valuable and it wasn't taken. So, what what would they want? The people? I don't think so. I don't, unless they took them as slaves and that's all they wanted. I don't know, but I doubt it. And none of their belongings were taken. So I'm pretty sure a pirate would take everything they could carry. Everything they could carry.
Yeah, I think that Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever you want to call it, they kind of glamorize
Mm-hmm.
that life. But I'm like, they were, they're like Vikings, right? They just come in and they take, and
Yeah,
they're not good people,
it's their livelihood.
and they kill.
Stealing, just taking what doesn't belong to them.
I mean, we still have pirates today. They're just, we're, in a different century, but they still do the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. So on the other side of the coin, we'll get into some paranormal stuff, but none of it makes any sense either. Popular theories include alien abduction, attacks by sea monsters such as the Kraken,
I knew you were
or
going to say that.
or disappearance within the so-called Bermuda Triangle, like we talked about earlier. But
But then the ship would have disappeared with it.
yeah. So the sea monster theory is generally considered implausible as there was no visible damage to the vessel, and that probably would have taken the whole ship too,
If
I'd
the
say.
Kraken is supposed to be a huge cryptid, there would have been some evidence of.
Yeah. Yeah. That never
Also,
would
and
have
if
been
it
thought
was
of by me.
aliens, usually aliens kind of bring it back to where they take you from, I would
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah. And the Bermuda Triangle explanation does not apply. Its location is far from the Mary Celeste route, which began in New York and crossed the Atlantic well north of the area. Additionally, statistical analysis shows no greater number of ships disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle than in other heavily traveled maritime regions, making it largely an urban legend.
Well, which I also think, again, it would take the ship with it, and the ship would disappear completely, not just the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the. No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't. None of it does. While alien abductions cannot be entirely ruled out from a purely speculative standpoint, the more plausible interpretation is that the crew left the vessel voluntarily. This is supported by the fact that both the lifeboat and key ship documents were missing when the Mary Celeste was found. So I don't think aliens would really need that.
No. So their lifeboat for emergencies was missing.
Yeah, their lifeboat was missing, and part of the railing on one side of the boat was missing, which is probably where they jumped off into the lifeboat, is I'm guessing.
Or the Kraken slammed its tentacle thing down.
Or the pirates boarded.
Yeah, but they would have taken the probably they would have taken the ship.
Yeah, they would have taken the ship for sure. So finally, some theories are based more in fiction than fact. An anonymous 1884 story published in the Cornhill magazine claimed a passenger aboard went insane and murdered everyone on the ship. But this was entirely fabricated. The Mary Celeste wasn't carrying any passengers beyond the captain's wife and child, and the author later admitted the tale was pure invention. He's just getting a rise out of people. The
Yeah, it
ship's name
doesn't.
was I guess he changed the name to the Marie Celeste to help reignite public interest in the mystery. But the story was published anonymously, but it was later revealed to be written by Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock
Oh
Holmes.
yeah, yeah.
It was meant as fiction, but many took it as fact.
Everyone does.
Mm-hmm. It's so much more fun. In the end, while dozens of theories have been put forward, from the logic to the ludicrous, none have ever been proven. And what began as a promising voyage across the Atlantic remains one of the sea's most haunting and enduring mysteries. So, theories aside, this is what most likely happened based on like actual facts and people who knew their shit doing research on like what evidence they were given. And so, according to Anne McGregor, a documentary filmmaker who produced the true story of the Mary Celeste with the Smithsonian Channel, the most plausible explanation for the ship's abandonment began with a faulty chronometer. Is that how you say that? Chronometer?
You're asking me?
Using the vessel's drifting location and backtracking from the last recorded position in the running log, McGregor determined that it was feasible for the ship to have been where Captain Briggs believed it was before it was deserted. The Mary Celeste then continued to drift roughly 400 nautical miles before being found by the De Gracia. So it seems he was still on course when they left the ship.
Which is kind of weird because it's not like they had cruise control
Mm-hmm.
back then.
Additional details from the log, copied by Frederick Sully Flood, the Attorney General of Gibraltar, suggested the Mary Celeste may have been more than 100 miles off course. Historical weather and ocean current data reviewed by McGregor and oceanographer Phil Richardson revealed that a severe storm had occurred the day before the final log entry. If the ship had been on course, it should have reached Santa Maria Island 3 days earlier, allegedly. Evidence on board also pointed to possible flooding. The ship's pump was found disassembled. See, this here is like likely clogged with coal dust from a previous voyage and debris from a recent refit. So this is where it's conflicting because this one story said it was fine, but this one's saying it was disassembled. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. But I mean, clearly something was going on with it because there were 3.5 feet of water in the hull. So it couldn't have been fully functioning. I don't know.
And there was, what, 5 days between the logs? Between the last log and then 5 days later was something written on the board? That we'll never
One day.
know? Is one
One
day.
day.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not sure about this.
Well,
When does
maybe it worked fine, but then if it was sitting there, maybe it took on water, and maybe that's what clogged it.
it could be.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
And they were able to easily get it running again to bring the ship back. So
Yeah, maybe it was just because it was, I don't want to say sitting there, but you know what I mean.
mm-hmm. So yeah, when discovered, the Mary Celeste contained about 3.5 feet of water in the hold, insufficient to sink the vessel, but potentially alarming to the crew, especially without a working pump, which clearly it was working because they were able to pump the water out and bring it back to shore. So I don't know. I don't know. And it could
Yeah, I
have
don't
been
know.
an experience. It could have just very well been that. Like they got in over their heads or something, like didn't know what to do.
But wasn't there a theory like they thought something was going to explode, and so that's why the
Mm-hmm.
crew jumped off or took the lifeboat?
Yeah. So apparently, I was watching another um, documentary, and it said that when you're carrying cargo like that in a ship, it is imperative that you keep things vented. Otherwise, those fumes will build up and it can cause an explosion. And what they're thinking is maybe that those fumes were building up and they could smell them and they were being knocked around from a storm and they're probably like, this shit's gonna explode
Explode.
if we don't get the hell out of here. That's what I would think is most likely.
I mean,
Like,
plus if they get in the lifeboat, it's like look at the Titanic, look at the people that got in the lifeboats that were never found when they
mm-hmm.
got off the ship. So they could have just shipped off, and the water's so big, and they don't have the resources that we have these days, and they just died from on the lifeboat or just from the I don't know,
The
just
elements.
elements. Thank you.
Yeah, like they probably couldn't bring much water. They probably didn't have much food. They were out in the open ocean with no shade.
Because if they thought that their ship was going to explode, they would at least kind of get away from the ship
Mm-hmm.
and paddle out or
And
whatever.
if the storm was raging or whatever and they were getting knocked
Knocked
around,
around.
they
Yeah.
could have been just thrown from the lifeboat. The end.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that
don't
makes
know.
most sense to me. They thought it was going to explode and
Yeah.
did the cautious thing of just getting off.
So, yeah, believing the vessel to be in imminent danger, whether from flooding or a possible explosion, Briggs may have decided to abandon ship upon sighting land, which that makes sense too. So, like, they were close enough to where he could see land. So he's probably like, let's get in the boat and go. We
For the
gotta,
safety of the crew.
yeah, we gotta try to get to land. I'd probably do the same thing if I could see land. Be like, we can make it. We got this.
I know, but it's always so much farther than you think it is.
It is, yeah. So yeah, he spotted land after days of poor navigation and severe weather. The crew likely left in the lifeboat, either attempting to reach shore or becoming accidentally separated from the Mary Celeste. They were never seen again. So, following the incident, oh, also, I wanted to mention, and I meant to look this up, but one of the videos I was watching, I was kind of looking in the comments section, and somebody said that there's a part of the story that nobody ever talks about. And apparently, not long after this, a lifeboat and bodies were discovered on shore, not far from there. I'm like, what? But I never I couldn't find anything on that. I just saw somebody mention it. So just figured it's worth mentioning. But I
Yeah,
do that's most likely what happened. It's gotta be. Just they got
I think so.
scared and they tried to make it to land and just didn't, sadly.
Yeah,
Poor Poo.
I know. It's the saddest part of the story.
So, following the incident, the Mary Celeste continued to operate but developed a reputation for misfortune, you think?
Yeah.
In 1879, Captain Edgar Tuthill died during a voyage to St. Helena, becoming the third serving captain to die while in command. Cursed. Talk about cursed.
Yep.
In 1885, the ship's career ended when Captain Gilman Parker deliberately wrecked her on on Rochaloy Bank off Haiti. I'm certain I didn't say that right. In an attempted insurance fraud. Once again, the cargo misrepresented as valuable was in fact worthless, and the Mary Celeste failed to sink, exposing the scheme. Well done, Bob.
Good for
Well
you. Good
done.
for you.
Although the crime of intentionally wrecking a ship was punishable by death in the 19th century,
Jeez.
just like stealing horses was too. Weren't we
Yeah.
just talking about that? Were we talking about that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably.
I know H.H. Holmes would use the horse scheme for a while.
But he wasn't sentenced to death. Instead, he was ordered to repay the defrauded parties. 3 months later, Parker himself died, further adding to the vessel's ill-fated reputation.
Karma's a bitch.
Yeah. The Mary Celeste was left to decay where she grounded. While the exact cause of her abandonment will likely never be proven, the prevailing theory remains that Captain Briggs acted out of concern for his crew's safety amid flooding, navigational errors, and severe weather. And fumes, I'm certain.
That's what I mean, I always love to believe in the supernatural first, but I think that it was more likely they were trying to be smart and get
Yeah,
away
there's
from the ship.
there's just nothing that can prove anything else. Contrary to later fictional accounts, such as those popularized by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the ship was not found in pristine condition, but her mysterious history and series of misfortunes have secured her place in maritime legend. So, what do you think, guys? Do you think that they were abducted by aliens? Or the Kraken got them? Or do you think they just simply ran for their lives?
That
I
would be a
mean,
fun episode to do pirates.
that would be, yeah. Could you imagine though, like the crew and the captain are used to stuff like that probably, but having a baby and having a wife who have never experienced anything like that, he probably felt a certain amount of
Well,
responsibility
that
because
probably
she
was
was,
his first. Yeah, that probably was his first
yeah,
instinct was like, I need to save my family.
and she was probably terrified. Like she was probably freaking the hell out. I know I would be. Like if I wasn't used to something like that and a storm was knocking us around and there's flammable shit down below, I'd be like, you got to get me and my baby out of here now. Let's go.
And they took the
So,
cat. Like the cat was missing too, so they literally took the
mhm.
cat.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like they woke up to this situation because like they said the beds were unmade and she was known for making the bed, and like they probably woke up and immediately were panicking and
Yeah,
were
because
like
maybe they
we got to
smelled
go.
something that was like gonna explode because the storm was rustling
Yeah.
the stuff around, and they're like, "This is just too much. Let's just it's safer for us if we get off the ship for now." And then maybe the storm drifted the lifeboat further than they wanted to get out. And
Hmm. They could still make a pretty cool movie out of this though. Like just add some supernatural shit to it.
oh
Like on
yeah,
like on the way back after they found the ship, things start happening. But
or maybe like on the
sadly,
board would be like the blood stained like handprint, and like that's
yeah,
why they
yeah.
erased it,
Yeah.
and everything looked in better order. Like they just ate dinner, like dinner was cooking.
But sadly, it was just an empty ship, which would still be creepy. It would still be like, what the
Oh
hell?
yeah, anything abandoned is creepy because it's like, why is it abandoned?
Speaking of abandoned things, I was talking to my one of my Brazilian friends last night, and I was like, "Man, I belong in a castle with a moat." And she's like, "Honestly, you could probably get one because I guess there are tons of like abandoned castles in Europe that nobody wants to be in because they're so isolated, and I guess they sell them for super cheap." I'm like, "When we're famous, we should buy one just to have one."
Okay, I'm down.
That would be so cool. Oh
That's
my
where we do our
gosh.
podcast.
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/weeklybazar. It's $5
It's
a
only
month.
$5 a month. That's it, guys.
Please, thank you. Let's get a castle.
It's like Colorado. They got a lot of abandoned towns.
Ah. Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of creepy abandoned places in the United States too, but I don't know. The creep factor just goes up for me because of how old everything is in Europe.
Oh, for sure. I mean, a castle to me is creepier than an abandoned town.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome. The history within those walls, my goodness.
because a lot of them are out west, and it's like obviously people abandoned out west because it wasn't working for them out there. It's like, but why is a castle abandoned?
Yeah.
Is Dracula in the basement?
So that's the Mary Celeste story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You
It's
can
a very
find
weird
us.
story. Sorry.
It is a very weird story. So you can find us on all the social medias at Weekly Bazaar Podcast. You can email us with your stories, your suggestions, your comments, your concerns, your theories, all of that at weeklybazaarpodcast@gmail.com. Again, you can support us on Patreon, $5 a month, patreon.com/weeklybazaar. So we can buy a castle in Europe and then we can start going there and recording there. Thank you.
And we also have to buy Jessica a passport.
A passport, all kinds of things that we need to purchase.
Yeah, seriously.
Shameless. But yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening to us on a weekly basis. Hopefully, you come back every week to get more and more. And yeah, if it's weird,
We're going to talk about it.
bye.
Okay, I'm hanging up now.
See you later.
I'm hanging up.